Orientation Radio of the Foundation for Character Reformation and Integration in Nigeria, FOCRIN, a non-governmental civil society organization established on the 21st of March 2003 to promote and sustain social enlightenment of good character, attitudinal change, transparent democracy, and living in peaceful harmony, presents Changing Orientation, inspiring Nigerians to cultivating and returning to the attitude of reading books to achieve the reorientation. See and hear what Mr. Andrew Ajayi, the radio senator, is saying here. The Nigerian versus corruption. Who wins?
At critical times in the journey of nationhood, of society, creating solutions and entrenching the right enlightenment for development and talking appropriately without unpatriotic selfish intentions is essential for the deliverance and growth of the nation. Hence, I come to you here today with every modicum of respect to promote reading culture in the society. Not because I am the most qualified to do so, but maybe because it is of a very foremost burden on my mind. While I admit that there could be some advantages in having the orientation of youths of nowadays hovering mostly around becoming lovers of fashion and cosmetics, singing or dancing artists, I want everyone to know as well that we will be badly disadvantaged soon as we delay more to return the mindset of our people to become lovers of reading books, to make our society to be rooted in the consciousness of intellectualism that engenders in citizens the quest for the acquisition of knowledge that will usher us as a people to the next level of discoveries for national development as against what it is now. People hardly read books again. Very many people are either very reluctant, lazy, or having zero appetite for reading books, because either by error of omission or commission, they have not realized that the only food for the brain to function effectively and for one to be knowledgeable is reading. If you read books with good thought-provoking table of contents on behavioral change, for example, it is 100% certain that the behavior you will exhibit always will be positive and you will be regarded as a person of good character. Right now, you are not happy that your children and other young people you see around have no good book reading attitude when compared to the days of old, as majority of them prefer to always listen to music, watch movies, chat and ping on the telephone, social media, partying and dancing. Yet they are in school and they will have to pass examination. But how will that happen if they do not devote more than enough time to reading? Your guess is as good as mine. When last did you read a full book? When last have you, as a parent or guardian, picked up a book to read in the presence of your children and other growing up lads around you to provide them with examples of reading books? Yet you nag and quarrel with them that they are not serious about reading their books. Countries whose citizens mostly do not quest for knowledge to discover new horizons and profitable instructions to doing things, and at best are allergic in terms of appetites to acquiring knowledge by carrying out researches and reading books, will never have the human intellectual capabilities to develop wholesomely. Do you know that most citizens, especially the young people of today, shows great disinterest and even pretend to be sick of malaria in order to avoid reading books or attending lectures? I saw this in the NYSC camps, where great shocking numbers of young people are too disinterested in listening to lectures and reading the service guide that is of very few pages provided to help them. I tell you what, during these my observations, I will joke with some of them who come to me with one excuse or the other, trying to escape participation during the period slated for lectures by saying, "Are you not supposed to be in the lecture? Or are you allergic to receiving lectures?" Go to the lecture hall and come back after the lectures. Some of the youths will either smile or grumble and went away, while some will laugh and say to me, Oga, na money we dey look for, no be lectures. We don't tire to hear lectures. So, this is the unpleasant mirror of where we would not want to be as a people that we are now. The disposition of very many people are far even from reading by themselves to acquire the knowledge and understanding contained in the holy books of the religions they profess, as they leave such for their religious leaders to do for them by the few verses they read during the short services organized on Sundays and Fridays in the churches and mosques. People can never have a full understanding or explanation of something when they only rely on the limited interpretation of the knowledge they receive from others, whereas the source of the information, knowledge, is of equal access to everyone. Now, as the leader of your home, begin to regularly sit down to read a book to show the younger ones around you how to devote time to reading. Read a good book today, and you can start now by reading the books entitled The Nigerian versus Corruption, Who Wins? Understanding how to be found worthy in character, and Character Reformation, the elements for building a successful nation, the Nigeria of our dream. The books were first published in the year 2010 and revised and reloaded in 2013.
It's 2,500 naira only. Stand up for good character in Nigeria. Get your copy.
Let me once again ask the question that I normally ask most times. Situation to address a gathering of people, especially the youths, is presented to me. And the question is, the Nigerian versus corruption, who wins? You know what? Only a few respond that the Nigerian will win. If you ask me, I tell you that they are not even so sure of the position they affirmed, while very mind-boggling majority in a confident manner always respond that corruption will forever win the Nigerian. I then ask, what and where is your contribution to support Nigeria in this battle contests against corruption? Because it appears the people themselves are empowering corruption with unrepentant negative behaviors and talks that they exhibit and comment respectively, making it look as if corruption will win. This is the food for thought. I am the anchor of the orientation radio, which can also be called Radio Reformation. My name is Andrew Ajayi, the radio senator, proponent of character reformation and integration in Nigeria, a lead advocate of attitudinal change since 2003, and the author of the books. Obviously, no one has ever been able to give what he has not gotten. In other words, you cannot give what you do not have. This explains the wide ignorance in the definition and understanding of the meaning of corruption among Nigerians as we speak. And the unfortunate part too is that schools, tertiary, secondary, and primary claim to have taught society character when they always say, during the graduation ceremony of even nursery pupils, school leavers, that school leavers are awarded the certificate they are holding today because they have been found worthy in character and learning in the various fields they chose to study. The question is, if indeed they did or are doing by the teaching of character they claimed they have done, how then do we explain the huge and alarming negative behavioral pattern in the conducts of almost every citizen of every profession in this society? The education of citizens of any nation without character is a disaster for that society. Well, worry not, as the books are designed to reorientate and put checks on wrong attitudes, and it also will help entrench in everyone who read them the orientation and knowledge of the appropriate ethical values of the right attitude that should be exhibited practically in day-to-day living, tolling hope and removing the elements of hopelessness and lip service from citizens concerning behavioral change issues. The books will equip you with the mentality and drive to always be a doer or implementer of positive things, because it largely identifies our national interests and how citizens can help to achieve them. I tell you absolutely that what is absent that we need to so dearly in our country is not people of power, money, and influence, but people of good character. Nonetheless, the understanding of ethical orientation as the science of the right and wrong is the good character that is lacking among citizens, many of whom are the operators of the various institutions meant to provide services to the public on government's behalf. Yet they put such opportunity given to them to wrong use by exhibiting great misdirection and attributes of corruption. Oh no, only because Nemo dat quod non habet, meaning no one can give what he doesn't have, and all our lamentation is for such to be corrected. But the truth is that it can change quicker for the better than we all expect when you read to acquire the understanding provided in these books. If as a people we truly want behavioral change in our society, then adopt these books as your handbooks for us to become an enviable country in the Committee of Nations. Read about selfless leadership, patriotism, sacrifice, ethics, morality, government, transparency and accountability, unifying a nation, religious tolerance, service delivery, and reasons why buy made in Nigeria goods is the joker card for economic growth, non-violence, anger, and how to ensure positive relationships among colleagues and neighbors. What the content of a good father and mother entails, the children and the mortuary speaking to the adults and the living, the new way to go about security, sports development, examination malpractices, civic education on politics and election matters in order to avoid violence and to prevent loss of lives and property during election period. The definition of corruption, identifying 56 acts of corruption, and many more social issues in the books. A social change satisfactory to everyone can never be achieved through killing and bloody revolution that I hear some of us are pushing for before proper change can be achieved in our society. Who should kill who first? Whose family would allow theirs to be killed first, and by who? Those who have killed others by any means to enable them get to leadership positions in time past. If I may ask, what was the acceptable unique ideological wizardry to public administration that they introduced, and how was their coming to political leadership through violent killing benefiting to the quest for a developed new Nigeria? We have also seen that coup and counter-coup d'etat by the military overthrowing one regime to another do not bring about change to any country, and we have since known better. The only thing that can bring about positive change in any society for that matter is not a violent, bloody revolution that ensures people are killed, but it is for the people to acquire enlightenment of behavioral renewal, which is the most appropriate and reasonable revolutionary tool for change in a civil society. New and real enlightenment of the basic principles of social living and stick to them. And that is what is contained in these books. Believe me, I have done that hardest work of attitude change, value reorientation, enlightenment, critical to nation building, growth and development for our society in Nigeria in the books. The books are written in a manner that shows how to cultivate and maintain peace, given that we are a secular society of diverse ethnic groups and religions with distant geographies, someone can become tired of struggling to talk on the radio and other social media channels over a long period of years, the way I have done so far. Hence the bet of the books. Let fellow citizens not worry anymore about the guide on how to make our society better and change from corruption orientation. Just get the books and read. If you want to be able to contribute positively to the development of society and you don't know how, because of a truth we have observed that many people contribute negatively most times when they have the opportunity to come to being an administrator, even at the level of government, then get the books and read. Parents, politicians, aspiring administrators, clergies, youth leaders, and teachers will find the books greatly enriching and expository. If only a people's thinking pattern can be like the thought contents of these books, then Nigeria becomes the golden country to beat. Do not relegate good behaviors to the background again, because we will suffer if we continue. Any nation that relegates morality, ethics to the background in national life suffers from corruption, which brings underdevelopment and national anger among citizens against their leaders. The books are an unparalleled contribution to our local, state, and national roadmap action to enhance the economic, political, religious, and social ethical development of society. This is because when someone becomes knowledgeable of the meaning of patriotism as the love for country, humanity, and maintenance of positive systems order, which the books offers, he or she will never again be interested in wrecking or bringing the nation to its knees in different ways we have seen perpetuated by many citizens who collaborate with sponsors, both local and foreign, to engage in deliberate activities that sabotages the national aspiration and interests of the country. We hear of sabotage in sports by players and officials, especially in football. Sabotage by using politics and religion to make the military and other security agencies somewhat inefficient in the fight against common enemies of terrorism. Sabotage by inflating an outright embezzlement of the cost of governance, projects, and contracts. Sabotage in the nation's economic activities, such as destruction of pipelines for stealing of crude oil and other petroleum products, and shortchanging the nation's revenue through the connivance by some public officers with unpatriotic elements to engage in smuggling activities, where strategies to circumvent or bypass laid down rules or due process are deployed. Even in the immigration, customs services, and many others that space and time will not allow me to mention here, all manner of dirty and shady deals capable of putting the nation's security at risk are perpetuated by officers. After all, they say, where you walk is where you chop. Very wrong. Please stay with me.
To get copies of the books, bookshop owners, book distributors, please call these numbers: 0803 614 8980, 0805 911 0186. You can also read online and purchase our books on www.characterreformation.org. The price for the 2-in-1 book is 2,500 naira only. Stand up for good character in Nigeria. Get your copy.
Why should citizens sabotage their country and expose fellow citizens to sufferings just because more money and profits must be made by officials and business owners at the expense of the government and people? Take, for instance, how electricity companies and their workers even when they are supposed to give consumers improved services, goes about issuing increased bills to customers to pay for the quantity of electricity that was never supplied for that month, in the bid to meet up the monthly financial inflow targets of the company owners without providing consumers satisfaction. They deliberately throw residents into darkness for weeks and months by wickedly disconnecting a whole area, at times cut off wires and go with it when you question the astronomical increases in the bills they give to you to pay. Also, our brothers and sisters of the medical profession should increase the level of their humanitarianism to save fellow citizens from dying by avoiding frivolous strike actions that shut down hospital to public health. Let us stop man inhumanity to man. Also, take a look at the hoarding activities surrounding petroleum products being orchestrated every now and then by marketers to enrich themselves, thereby exposing the people to monumental exploitation through pump adjustment and price hike, violating standard regulations by filling station owners across the country. They are very fast to increase the prices when situation calls, but they do not use the same speed to revert to the normal or reduction in prices when the situation arises. This is profiteering taken beyond the limits. I think this is wickedness against Nigerians by their own fellow country brothers and sisters who are in the petroleum and gas products businesses in the country. Or how else do we explain such? Where is our collective willpower as a people to stop the departments in charge of monitoring from taking bribe to look the other way, leaving citizens at the mercies of profit-driven petrol and gas station owners? What other kinds of wickedness, unpatriotic and sabotage activities against the people and government by a few gangs of individuals could be more than this? We are a crude oil producing nation, yet as citizens we are most often made to go through pains of incessant orchestrated black marketing, long queues and panic buying before getting petroleum products for use. Are you feeling what I feel? Oh, never again. We should forever stop this. With all of this, as if we do not have more than enough social hardship to contend with. Cost of goods and services of daily living increase almost every day as if it cannot be checked. Yet, monthly salaries of workers and other legitimate enterprises payable to people in the society are known to all to be fixed. Every hike in prices of products and services takes a toll on the fixed salaries and wages of citizens without the powers that be immediately offering a corresponding cushioning palliatives or necessary salary increase to enable citizens match up with the incessant price inflation. Why then should cost of commodities be allowed to go haywire without control? How can a nation whose economic activity is based on the naira be so dependent on happenings around other foreign currencies, such as the dollar, pound sterling, and euro, just to mention a few, before it can breathe? No. Who are those citizens engaging in negative business activities such that the happiness and profits they derive is what ensures the sorrows of the nation's economy? The economy of the country must provide comfort for all categories of citizens. Loyalty of citizens all over the world is a must for their country. Read the books and see the great impartation hidden in them. You will give a testimony of becoming a brand new person like others who have, and you will begin to understand the actions to take that are regarded as good actions and conducts, making you to fly high against corruption. The ethical revolution enlightenment that will make you a good citizen, Knowing and being alive to your responsibilities towards the society is what you will find in them. They are books of ideology that emboldens the citizens to help Nigeria to win in the battle against corruption and providing solutions to our social problems. The books are another instrument inspired by God and good conscience for changing orientation to best behavioral practices suitable for people of the country. This is more so because our pastors and imams in the society could be doing their best by some of the issues of attitudinal change that they touch on at times during their preaching sermons. But these books expose and teaches you a lot ahead of what you are yet or never going to hear from them about issues of behavioral correction for social attitude change in a lifetime. Since a man's mind is the factory where the thoughts that rules his life and are manufactured, which also means that a people's life is directly proportional to the quality of their thoughts, then we will achieve a greater degree of joyous social living in the nation if the actions we take are rebooted to come from positive thinking. As it is now, the engines of that factory that produces our thoughts is working in a reverse order, probably damaged, hence the need for opening to effect repairs, because observation shows that we all daily profusely lament that our society today is full of bad things that are ceaselessly done by people as a result of the enthronement of negative value system. It is so because the mind of majority of the people of society are filled of insensitivity and orientation of bad behaviors that have been left unchecked for long, as society seem not to care much about such and are hypocritical of the practices of the good ones in their daily affairs. Whereas it is as simple as ABC to do so, but collectively as a people we can change that henceforth. Hope you are now seeing the mirror with me. How could people say they are Christians, Muslims, and of other ethical-minded religious orientations, yet engage in negative behavioral practices of all sorts? For example, showering praises on and advocating support for anyone, be it their kinsmen or not, that is under investigation that could lead to prosecution if found guilty of the corrupt practices that they engaged in to enrich themselves at the expense of the law and people while serving in public offices. This is hypocrisy. Where is our values? In the battle against corruption, Nigerians must win. If not, we are finished as a people and country, because corruption, negative behaviors, when not defeated, renders future generations of citizens incapacitated in the quest for the public good. Therefore, begin to rethink so that we can attain behavioral reformation. Mind you, people who engage in criminal activities hardly own up, even when you catch them red-handed in the act, unless they are tackled very well and hard too. No godly-minded people argue in favor of corruption for whatsoever reasons. How can people go to the churches and mosques to give thanks to God and for enabling them to win elections and secure political appointments, only for the same people to turn around to be looting money meant for public development allocated for them to do the work? Does the scriptures of our religion say we should behave like that? One thing that I have interestingly observed that is at the same time very funny is that we keep hearing from citizens who seem not to know the philosophical essence of government that there is nowhere in the world where government does everything for their citizens, which I do not fully agree with. Here in the society, our commonwealth that they say cannot be used to do everything for the citizens is being stolen in billions from the treasury by a few people, leaving the rest of us to suffer all sorts in the society. Money, materials, and properties are good and make life enjoyable, but they are not to be acquired through stealing, except hard work and contentment. Although it is true that it is in the nature of human beings to be very sentimental in the expression of the way they feel and perceive things. But hear me today, it is only a people who don't want to enjoy paradise when they die that present themselves as godly people yet supports corruption. Come, let us reason together. The ignorance we see among people today, we shall see no more when we read the Nigerian versus corruption, who wins.
Have you seen or gotten your copy of the books written by the radio senator, Mr. Andrew Ajayi, entitled The Nigerian versus Corruption, Who Wins? Understanding how to be found worthy in character, and Character Reformation, the element for building a successful nation, the Nigeria of our dream. Get your copy now. Read and see so you are not left behind in the new orientation, behavioral change, attitudinal change in Nigeria. You will read and become knowledgeable about new things for the attainment of a new order in ethics, social, economic, politics, and security in Nigeria. This is because the selected topical issues dealt upon in the various sections and chapters of the books are matters that disturb every one of us in the nation today. Indeed, they are books that engender peace, progress, and development. They are books for social change, the society, the family, man and woman, that forgetting teachers to bring up children and youths in good character. God bless our country. God bless Nigeria. To get copies of the books, bookshop owners, book distributors, please call 0803 614 8980 and 0805 911 0186. You can also read and purchase online at www.characterreformation.org. The price for the 2-in-1 book is 2,500 naira only. Stand up for good character in Nigeria. Get your copy.
The mind is actually the battlefield of life, since every action, good or bad, generates from there. Why don't you win the battle right from inside your mind by thinking about the good at all times to attain self-discipline and control, by consciously letting go of evil thoughts such as selfishness, waiting for what is regarded as you, your people, and friends' turn to engage in all manner of corruption in any given opportunity to be in government. Hatred, bitterness, quarrels, jealousy, envy, covetousness, revenge, kidnapping, armed robbery, violence, cultism, prostituting, killing fellow human, and so on, that we see and hear of most frequently, to embrace love, government, policies that brings people out of hardship, leaving no room for members of society to be involved in any illegitimate enterprise to get money, peace, and good neighborliness. And then we would have made our living environment with people, family, and society a better one and place. Are you with me? Another question I ask any gathering of people that I interact with, which I'm also asking again today, is, can you die for Nigeria? A lot of them usually says no, that they cannot die for Nigeria, while others ask me the question, what has Nigeria done for them? Openly demanding and stating that the country has not done anything for them to warrant them dying for Nigeria. How and what does this make you feel or generates in you? Is, if citizens of Nigeria cannot die for Nigeria, who else will? A people ought to understand the vision and ethos of their country, preserve such, and if need be, defend them with their life. If some citizens gang up occasionally to work against the country by setting it on commotion and tension path to destroy the peace and security for the rest of us, so that we don't have a country again, then where is another country that we have to live in for love, friendship, and family ties to flourish? Every citizen has the capacity to die for his or her country, in this case, Nigeria, our fatherland, which the books discover for you. Fellow dearest citizens, at this time more than ever, must stand up to attain this stage of consciousness, because somewhere along the lines, since independence in 1960, it appears we went into a deep sleep in the preparation of nation building. Today, countries of the world are becoming scientific and technological, positioning themselves to be powerhouses to reckon with in terms of economy and defense of their country and citizens in case of any outbreak of worldwide crisis and conflicts. Still, what we do here in our society is not in any semblance of foreseeing and planning into the future in ways that we can be said to be truly proud to be citizens of the country. Yet, we are wasting unavailable time engaging in hide-and-seek politics and activities of tribalism, religion, stealing, fraud, power acquisition for self and ethnic use, and uncoordinated citizens' orientation from too much love for money and wrong attitudes, leading to the involvement in various ways that makes corruption to grow. Oh God, please, because you are the country and humanity yourself, our society will be better organized if you turn around the hearts of our countrymen and women to love you so that they can become lovers of the country and humanity as well. This is because citizens, in the real sense of it, seem not to acknowledge in practice that love entails protection and care, not only for themselves, but for the entire country and its people, irrespective of tribe and religion. Take it from me. Honestly, media owners, practitioners and journalists, civil servants, judicial workers and electoral officers should not be card-carrying members of political parties and must insulate themselves from politics by quenching their sympathy for any political party, else they resign from the work to participate in politics. Furthermore, our society must reject money politics of politicians who source and use unpatriotically huge sums of money, even in dollars, to confuse the thinking pattern and orientation of people to influence election results in their favor by bribing almost all those in the process and duty line of elections. Sadly, nearly everyone from INEC electoral officers, both those in the offices and on the field, through the security agencies and other institutions of government, federal, state and local, to core members and even students participating as ad hoc personnel on this line of duty, is eagerly praying and waiting to receive a share from the money bribe set aside to prosecute all categories of electable posts by the politicians and their party during election period, so that if you didn't collect or get it, you are regarded as not being a smart person or not a person with a head of luck. Can you then see one of the numerous wrong and harmful thinking pattern orientation among us? It is my strong viewpoint, therefore, that electing leaders and representatives in our democracy should be truly left in the hands of the people to determine through a transparent voting process, not in the hands of politicians who could stop at any length, including arranging unholy activities with other willing persons just to be elected. Also, we should try not to leave our democracy in the hands of the lawyers and judges in the courts. With cash and carry politics in our society, everyone seems to be a suspect, and citizens will hardly derive the real benefits of being led by any government, because the politicians will normally first recoup from government's purse even more than the cash they shared to all those they gave money when they get to the position they sorted for with the bribe money, before trying to focus on fulfilling the promises made to the people It is now clear for all to see that the violent struggle by politicians in our society to acquire and remain in political power is not very much to help the people, but themselves and some of those who they used to either kill, destroy, or do some dirty jobs in the process. The people is the power, beginning and end of democracy, not the politicians. The people must never again allow the politicians to continue in the indecent ways they have so far went about politics in Nigeria by enacting a particular set of daring laws against election rigging and violence, which I have been advocating, and violence during elections will cease. It will also put a stop to the corruption of the politicians and their political parties. Wake up, fellow country citizens of Nigeria. Arise, obey the call on you to rise for attitudinal change, disposition against corruption. Our joint practical contribution in this regard across board is what is mostly needed now. Let us begin to make restitution for the offenses we have committed at one time or the other against our collective sensibilities as a nation, so that peace can return to our conscience. How could citizens that begged to be elected or appointed to provide positive leadership services in the different departments established to drive the nation's growth and development be engaging in unimaginable corrupt behaviors, including outright stealing of the public funds meant for such, thereby frustrating, jeopardizing, or even ruining the destiny of the same nation they swore to selflessly serve? Given such backward times in the life of a nation, people ought to speak out against such wrongdoings, which is why I am speaking out now. I am just inspiring, mobilizing, and instigating the Nigerian against all forms of corruption, and to be able to surmount and conquer it. And may our capacity for this increase rapidly, so that our country begin to grow from strength to strength in positive human behavior and economic development, for us to wake up to become a full manufacturing, industrialized, and creative nation where youths will no longer roam around searching for employment. Stay with me as we land.
The Foundation for Character Reformation and Integration in Nigeria, FOCRIN, a non-profit making civil society group set up for the enlightenment and reorientation of citizens, present the books entitled The Nigerian versus Corruption, Who Wins? Understanding How to Be Found Worthy in Character, and Character Reformation, the Elements for Building a Successful Nation, the Nigeria. The 2-in-1 book is 2,500 naira only. Stand up for good character in Nigeria. Get your copy.
A nation whose system of justice dispensation is characterized by manipulations of politicians and their friends in the bar and bench profession, who should know the negative consequences of such, make the country a doomed place for justice. Is justice for sale? In the temple of justice, who are those always shifting the goalposts on justice delivery by using and allowing all manipulative antics, tricks, including courts' injunctions, to be employed as a strategy to maneuver and prevent justice during litigation? Should money exchange hands at all, not to talk of in the secret closets, to buy any type of judgment from the courts? Philosophically, justice should never be twisted to favor who does not deserve it. And money also should never be allowed to be the influencing factor in justice dispensation, in order to avoid the enthronement of crime and criminality. To have an effective mechanism that ensures that citizens are probed or asked questions as it concerns their roles and conducts in public service and society at large is very essential to put a check on anyone who in the future may have an intention to commit a crime or to misuse the privilege of trust vested in them. No one is or should be allowed to be bigger than the laws of society that represents the will of the people. It is very proper to send people who engage in corrupt practices to jail as punishment for their crimes, in order for them to become sober and reformed from such ways. If anyone is ashamed of being exposed on a corruptive deed they perpetrated or don't want to be sentenced to jail, then they should not be involved in corrupt practices. To build a good society is a process almost equal to the lifespan of the human beings that lives in it. But I know that an earnest and effective monitoring of the Nigerian systems will make our society to start working efficiently. If only everyone in their different directions of work in the society can pull efforts together to ensure the systems work, then it will. More so, the intention of writing these books is to let people to be enlightened that they do not have to engage in behavioral misdemeanors in the first place. That is, dissuading people from societal wrongdoings and making it known that it is not anyone's right to perpetrate any act of corruption that could lead to being sent to jail in the first place, which attests to the maxim of prevention is better than cure. For me, enlightening a people with the capabilities to now be able to shun or desist from acts of indiscipline, corrupt behaviors, is the prevention that is better than the cure of allowing them to perpetuate corruption that sends them to a prison system that is still trying hard to have the right mechanism and resourcefulness to reform offenders. Let everyone acquire the enlightenment of the new orientation. The truth of the matter is that we can arrest social indiscipline and corruption. Yes, we can. As we look for freedom from corruption in the private and public behaviors of the Nigerian, impacting into the future generations, let us get and use these books of positive change as a guide. Truly, God does not allow and never will come down to help people of a nation to achieve the good for themselves in their society, because the human is a creation with thinking ability and willpower to choose from what is right or wrong to do. It is only a resounding and robust exploration of cooperation between the people, government, and institutions working for social peace, development, and happiness that society becomes successful. If and when you read the books, you and our society will never remain the same again, as you certainly shall acquire new, unique understanding about nation building that will make the country work better for our collective satisfaction. The books are calculation to build positive orientation and produce citizens that will now enable Nigeria to begin to give back to Nigerians. Because for a very long time now, it is Nigerians that have been given to Nigeria. And what the leadership at various levels have misused and stolen over the years, where are the citizens that will use leadership to give good things to Nigerians? Where are they? This is what the books create. Therefore, resolve today, fellow citizens, more than ever, that in your positive thoughts and actions only shall our country become forwardly great. Yes, it can be so if you do, as we forward march to the attainment of the much desired new Nigeria of people with new mindsets for best behavioral practices in their endeavors. The wisdom of the freedom from corruption is the common sense we should acquire.
If you would like to have the author who is a natural messenger teaching ethics, acceptable standards of social behaviors and values in your program as a resource guest speaker on mentoring issues of behavioral and social change, follow Mr. Andrew Ajayi, the Radio Senator, on Facebook and Twitter handle at The Radio Senator for value orientation enlightenment. Also, go to www.characterreformation.org for online view of the prognosis and table of content of the books and demand purchase to your location. You may want to join the Character Reformation Ambassadors, Character Reformation and Attitudinal Change Vanguard nationwide to promote and sustain private and public morality in our society by filling the membership form on our website and liking our Facebook page, Character Reformation Nigeria. You can listen to the audio and watch the video of this presentation on YouTube channel Andrew Ajayi in case you miss out on this one or want a repeat broadcast. Also, watch out for character lesson seminars on attitudinal change and editions of the Radio Senator, Mr. Andrew Ajayi's annual lecture of character reformation on social ethics, politics, economy, and development for nation building, coming soon.
However, if I have my way ordinarily, as my intention is not money making from book sales, but spreading the enlightenment and revolution of attitudinal change in all directions to reach the nook and cranny of society, the books could be made available to every Nigerian, free, without costs, if willing partners to explore such option step forward. Hopefully, as God permits, I will work to periodically present more attitudinal change issues geared towards provoking the enlightenment of our citizens to nation building, but now the freedom from corruption and behavioral change of Nigerians, so that Nigeria can serve Nigerians to be happier, is the common sense of what I am saying. Indeed, for the love of country, God and humanity, I make this one further attempt of national value orientation to contribute to building the nation. I just know that greater positive progress in all spheres of our life will be made when indeed we realize that the understanding of human behaviors and improving upon them is essential to the type of growth and development a nation attains. Then they start working not to destroy or sink the nation. It is my desire that God bless Nigeria and her people with character reformation and economic greatness, which is the common sense I have been making for the society to achieve reorientation since March 21st, 2003, when character reformation of our people became a drive. One sure way for anyone to contribute to nation building is to desist from the further practice of acts of corruption, some of which I have mentioned, if they had hitherto been involved. On this occasion of our collective quest for a new Nigeria, why don't you just begin to exhibit good character, conduct in your all-round activities, and that is the new Nigeria you would have made possible. Our positive contribution is what the country is waiting for and need to get out of this current stage that we are dissatisfied with, that we collectively reject now to the next great level we hope for. No character reformation, no good people, no positive development, no new Nigeria. I speak these things today because Nigeria, our country, is like an estranged wife who I love so much that should return home now. See you again. Remain blessed.